What's going on, guys? Welcome back to How I Talk. This is Chris. I'm back here with another episode, and I just wanted to give you guys some games, some information, some knowledge, some know-how. We talk about anything and everything on this platform. Mainly, we like to focus on mindset, education, experiences that we've encountered so that we can enlighten you. And you may have went through some of these things that I continuously share every week, or you may have not, but I can guarantee you what I'm about to share with you guys is definitely something that you will encounter throughout life. And what am I really getting at? The truth of the matter, guys, is I wanted to talk to you guys about storms. Storms happen in your life and how they can actually be a positive thing in your life. So that's what I wanted to talk about. When we think about storms, a lot of the times, guys, we think that that can be an issue. Going through storms is only something that is going to bring um, bad experiences. You only think negative when you think about storms and trials and tribulations that you come across in life. Truthfully, I mean, we all think that way. Like, dang, I got to go through a storm. I got to go through something that sets me back in life. Like, geez, like that's just another bump in the road. You see it as an issue, or you see it as something that's only going to stop you on the road to success or whatever path that you're headed. But, today I actually wanted to share with you guys that in fact is not true. While it may be a setback and it may be a temporary hold on where you're trying to get to in life, just from my experiences, I realized that the storm is actually one of the most important things that you must go through in order to get to the milestone that you're trying to reach, the goals that you have set out for yourself, and everything else that you want to achieve. The storm is necessary. Let me break it down to you why the storm is necessary. See, first and foremost, we have storms in everything. In every facet of life, you're going to have some type of storm. You can have storms in your business life, right? You own a business in your corporate or your day job, whatever it is. You can have storms within that area of life, within that realm of life. You also have storms in your relationships. You're married, got a boyfriend, got a girlfriend. I mean, you're out there dating. There could be storms that come with that. Storms of friendships. It happens. Your closest friends. You could have storms that come in between you and some of your friends. Same thing could happen in different realms of being emotional, spiritual storms, mental storms. All these different things that you come across, storms are bound to happen. And it's natural. One thing that is natural about storms, let me tell you this, it's easy to lose hope because when you go through storms, you're going to definitely lose hope. You're going to give up and you're going to ask, why me? Let me tell you that because the storms that I've gone through in my life, matter of fact, the storms that I've encountered this entire year of 2022 hasn't even been a full calendar year. And in 7 months, it's now July. In 7 months, I feel like I've experienced more storms than I've experienced in the last maybe 2 to 3 years. And I would say that it's impacted me in all areas I've just shared with you earlier. That's how many storms I felt that I've encountered over the past 7 months, right? So I'm speaking from a place of experience and I'm still going through storms currently as we speak. I'm going through some physical storms right now that have really let me understand and let me recollect why am I going through the storm. It's really given me a perspective. And that's what I want to share with you guys. Storms are bound to happen. Why do you go through storms? Well, there's plenty of reasons why you're going to go through a storm. These are the things that I've encountered that I feel like I've gotten out of the storms. So it may apply to you in some areas. It may not apply in some other areas. But I do think storms are necessary. But you always got to figure out what is the silver lining in storms. Because let me tell you something. If it was easy and if you would just get into your goal or your milestone and you didn't experience a storm, you have nothing to share with anybody. You don't have nothing to share with anybody. Sure, you can tell somebody how to get to point A to point B. There is no person I've ever met or no book I've ever read or no podcast I ever listened to where somebody didn't have a storm in what they were trying to achieve or just in their personal walk of life. If you listen to some of the most important people, I'll give you an example, Steve Harvey, great businessman. He went through a storm. What storm did Steve Harvey go through? Well, let's kind of look into his life. Steve Harvey, if you don't know who he is, he's on Family Feud. He has his own daytime show. He had his a show back in the 90s, I want to say, the Steve Harvey Show. He's a comedian, Kings of Comedy. That's really where he got to start. But if you look at his storms and you realize one of the things he shared in a podcast is, man, I made a lot of money early in his career. He said in the early 2000s, though, in his career, he made a mistake. He didn't pay his taxes. He said he had the intention to pay his taxes, and he gave it to his accountant to pay the taxes. But what the accountant did is that he would meet with Steve Harvey and say, "Hey, we're going to pay. We'll just for numbers' sake, we're going to pay $50,000 in taxes." And Steve said, "Okay, cool. We got $50,000. I'm going to write you a check, $50,000. Boom, 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 boom. Here's the check." They would stamp it, boom, the approval, but the guy would never deliver and send it to IRS. Instead, what he would do is write those checks and make sure he deposited to his bank account, his personal account, his own accountant. So the entire time, this went on for about 3 to 5 years, I want to say. And during that time, Steve Harvey owed millions of dollars. So much, in fact, Steve Harvey said he went on tour for the next 2 to 5 years, somewhere in between there, because of how much he owed to the IRS. And he was scared he was going to have to go to jail. Now that tells you, not only did he just go through a storm financially, because he had to pay all that money back. He had to pay all that money back year after year, millions of dollars. And you could say, "Oh, Steve Harvey's fine. He already makes millions." Nah, bro. When you got to pay $1 million to IRS plus interest, that's a different level of stress. Plus, you still got all the other things that you own, assets that you got to keep track of and maintenance and all that other stuff. It don't stop. He just had a heavy increase of expenses. See, he had to pay that back. So he had a storm financially. He also had a storm with the friendship. See, because his friend, I would say at that point, probably was his friend, his accountant, partner, whatever you want to call it, business relationship, maybe not been a true friend, clearly wasn't a true friend because he stole money from him. But he went through that storm as well. So he had time to recollect. And I'm telling you, when you go through storms, and it may not be similar to Steve Harvey because we ain't all millionaires walking around here, but I can guarantee you all of us have had storms with business relationships, friendships, marriages, as far as relationships go, boyfriend, girlfriend. We've all experienced that. And one thing about those storms that you go through with somebody is you get time to really think. And in my storms that I've had, one of the things that it's allowed me to do in those storms is build my character. That's the first thing. You're going to build your character. Why? Because during the storm, it allows you to recollect. It allows you to think on the things that you did, right? If you had a relationship, the relationship didn't go so well. One thing is true. It's their story, your story, and then there's the truth. But one thing is also, another thing that's true as well is the fact that you probably did something in that relationship where it did not go as expected, that you guys broke apart. You played a part in it. Now, you may have not done, it may have not been 50-50. Maybe they did 70, maybe you did 30, but you had a piece of it that you said, here is where I can improve. Here is where my character is flawed. Okay. So in storms, it allows you to look at your character. How do I appear to people? How do I appear within? Who am I? What is my identity? That is what character does. It allows you to show you who your identity is and if are you living truly to what your identity is. Because when everything slows down and gives you time to think, it gives you time to recollect on the decisions that you made, the choices that you made. And can you live with those choices? It's easy when everything's fast paced that sometimes you overlook those character flaws. But when everything slows down and then everything is allows you to inwardly think, you get to see where are my character flaws? Where are things that I can sharpen and change up and be a better person overall? So I would say storms, first one is the character building. That's what it did for me and that the things that I learned. The second I would say storms did is I'm a spiritual person. So, obviously my relationship with God is huge, right? One, it gave me the attention. And when I say attention, it gave me the attention to focus on God. I had to change my attention to focus on God. And sometimes when you go through storms, specifically relationship wise with God, it's not necessarily because you've been in disobedience. Sometimes God, you may have been doing great as far as your relationship with God, but sometimes God has you go through storms so that he can get your attention. Sometimes he wants you to glorify him more, and he knows going through the storm is going to allow you to glorify him more, and it's also going to allow for him to build you. That's the purpose of storm. See, when he's going through that, he wants you to worship him. He wants to use you for a higher purpose. Now, what that purpose is, I don't know. God has a purpose for each and every one of us, and it's different person to person. But you got to figure out what God has for you in a spiritual level that can allow you to go to bigger and better heights. And I guarantee you, when you plug into that aspect of your storm and really get connected with him, I can guarantee you that your life will elevate. If you truly try to connect with God, I guarantee you that you, one, will be able to worship him more, but he will also deliver the things that you need in your life. Not at your speed, but at his speed. Okay? Again, not at your speed, at his speed. So during these storms, again, it allowed me to focus on character and also focusing on Christ. Because in storms, two things happen typically, spiritual wise. During storms, either you're going to get mad at God, and that's initial, most people do. You get mad at God and say, why me, God? But two things happen from there on. You run from God or you go to God. It's that simple. And when you run from God, you realize your life more than likely going to get harder. If you were really assessed, your life don't really go as scripted. That's part of life, but it really don't go as scripted. I've noticed, and I can say the difference. Every time I've run towards God, my life has been more wholesome, more fulfilling. See, when I say run to God, it's not even about financially. A lot of people think, what can I get from this situation in my connection with God? If you're looking to get something from God, look, buddy, I'm going to tell you now, that ain't going to work. You got to be serving God truly because you were trying to serve God. When you participate at the church, when you worship God, when you pray to God, when you ask God for things, he delivers. But if you're looking for an end goal of saying, God, I just want for my personal financial gain, he knows where your heart is at. And then, of course, other people want to run from him because, God, you did this to me. Why would you do this to me? You don't care about me. Clearly, some people I was closest to, there was a death in my family. Why would you take this person from me? And why would you make me go through this? And why this person did this to me? And I went through abuse and I went through that. Sometimes God takes you through different parts of your life to show you different things. There's a reason. The third thing is storms teach us about foundations. Let me tell you something about foundations. You buy a house, right? We all are interested in buying homes. This may not be the best time to buy a home, but foundations are huge when you buy a home, right? So if any of you ever have bought a home, you understand the importance of a foundation. And when a foundation is rocky, everything else is rocky. So I own two homes. The first home we bought, great foundation, just needed to be renovated. Second home we bought, foundation was bad. Everything in it was renovation-wise, the walls were bad, floors were bad, needed a full revamp. Roof was bad. Landscaping, plumbing, everything was terrible. Just reckless foundation. Till this day, still been having slightly foundation issues in that particular home. But this is what happens when your foundation is bad from the beginning. That foundation will continue to show itself in different ways. Cracks, leaks, unevenness across the floor, on the ground. Just like a home, just like that, that's what will happen in your life. Cracks and unevenness and things don't align and continuous problems. When your foundation is weak, when your foundation is not on solid ground, when your foundation is not rooted in Christ, when your foundation is not rooted with the right people, it's going to create more issues. So storms have allowed myself, and I'm sure plenty of you out there, to revisit your foundation. and figure out, is my foundation on solid rock? Is it standing firm? Now, we all have moments where our foundation isn't the best because we're going through different parts of our life. When I think about when I was in college, my foundation was terrible because I was living a lifestyle that was not incongruent with who I was character-wise. I was getting influenced by the wrong things. You may be in college, you may be going through the same things. You may be post-college. And because you got out of a relationship, now it's time for you to maybe wild out. You may run from the things that you don't want to necessarily see face to face. And that's what happens in storms. People want to run from the things that are looking them right in their face. We all do that. So foundations are huge. If you can make your foundation strong, one, by pinpointing to the areas of weaknesses, areas that you challenge or have trouble with, and try to fix those areas while you're in the storm or what you're going through, that's how you can make your foundation solid. Once you make your foundation solid, everything else will flow. Will you have more problems? Yes. Will you go through another storm? Absolutely. But it won't be like that storm you went through before because you set yourself up to have a solid foundation. A solid foundation built on right friendships. I've seen this time and time again. When I chose the wrong friends, it created more problems, more issues, people doing me wrong. When I actually chose friends based on what I thought was true to what as far as morals, values, and character, what was important to me, I found people that were like-minded, had less problems, had real friends, people there to clap for me and encourage me and really truly see me win and grow. So foundations are huge. And then the next one, of course, is storms allow you to give testimony. How can you give wisdom if you haven't experienced anything? You can't. When I think about my business life, going through all the different things I'm going through related to business, winning huge bids with school districts and things like that, the truth is, I can give you more experiences and tell you more stories about how many times I've failed than how many times I've won. The wins have been great, but the failures have been even greater. The failures have allowed me to really understand where I went wrong. So the next time that I was actually proposed an offer or the ability to win a bid with a school or with the client, whatever the case may be, I was more prepared. But see, failure creates better preparation. Failure creates the cycle of understanding what to do next. If I win, I have nothing to share with you. Winning success really gives you nothing. It's great to win. I mean, you love winning, right? It keeps the engine going, right? It's like that dopamine, right? Oh, I got to win. Like, yes, I get that urge, of course. But the failures is really what propels you to continuously win because you're not scared to fail. That's really what it is. And storms allow you to fail, show you that you're human. Some people think they walk on water. No, storms, it's going to happen. But you ain't that great. Storms going to happen so that you can have failure. And it may not always be failure. Again, a setback, however you want to define it, but it allows you to give a testimony to share your story, to share with others. Again, I'm going to bring in that spiritual alignment. Again, you got to go through a storm so that you can share with people. That's why God sometimes wants you to go through storms. He wants you to share your testimony about how God has influenced and done great things in your life to share with others. That's the purpose of a testimony. Okay, you don't like my spiritual aspect. Okay, I get it. We'll wash that out. But let's say personal, business, whatever the case may be. Your failures, think about all the people you look up to or you get advice from. If you were to really slice and dice their life, they probably got more failures than you can imagine. When I look at the person that I look up to the most in human form, that dude got more failures than he got wins, but he's been more successful than more people, the majority of people I know, because he's not scared, but he also has a testimony to share and give you advice and give you, perspective on things. And the only reason he knows that is because he went through a storm. How can somebody give you advice on marriage if they've never been married? Or what to do in a marriage or a situation? How can somebody give you advice on running a business if they've never run a business? They can't tell you when things go bad. They can't tell you about cash flow. They can't tell you in a marriage about when you guys get in a argument how to deal with things like that. They cannot tell you how to be married for 15 years and they ain't been married for 1 year. Make sure that you're getting your testimonies and your feedback from people that actually went through similar storms or like-minded storms, similar type of things that you guys have encountered. Those are the people that you should be getting that information from. But you can be that source of information for people when you go through storms. That's the purpose of a testimony. So, in summary, guys, storms are needed. They got to happen. Take it with a grain of salt. Understand it's going to happen. It's easy and it's natural to lose hope, to give up and ask, why me? I mean, it's natural to feel that way. But understand the purpose of a storm is to build your character so that God can come into your life. If he's already in your life, he's trying to build you up and create this masterpiece so that he can use you for a higher purpose. Storms are also given so you can have testimony and also to improve your foundation. Make your foundation strong. If you can work on those things during your storm, you can come out on the other side victorious. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I will see you on the next episode. Peace.